God showed me the truth. Allah showed me the truth. Jesus Christ is not God. Jesus, beloved Son of Mary, he is the Messiah. He will return, and we do believe Jesus. We know Jesus. We love Jesus. But he is not God. God is not a Trinity.
I'm just so happy that Allah made me a Muslim. I can't even express the feeling. I grew up being a Christian. I wasn't looking for any other religion. I didn't think there was any other religion. Just to be honest with you. One thing that I always consistently prayed for, though, was guidance. I prayed that God would guide me no matter what I was doing, no matter the bad things I was doing, the good things I was doing. Just as long as I was praying for guidance. And I knew that I was going to be blessed one day. I knew that life was going to be tough for me for a while, but it was going to be really good for me one day. I just prayed that God would tell me when that time was, when that blessing was there, so I'd be able to appreciate it. That blessing is me being a Muslim. I was 25 years old when I heard about Islam for the first time. I'm 26 now. Alhamdulillah, it's been a year since I've been a Muslim. And there's no turning back. I remember when I was a Christian and my friend told me about Adam and Eve and how Muslims believe Adam and Eve. I was like, what? Muslims know about Adam and Eve? He's like, yeah. And he starts telling me like all these stories and these detailed stories about all the prophets and Moses and Noah, Jesus, Abraham, peace be upon them all. And I'm just like, what? Because Christianity, they don't make these things clear and they don't have the stories right because the books have changed. And I learned more and more about Islam, and I'm starting to realize that there's only really two main differences in these two religions. In Islam, we don't believe that God has children. Secondly, all the rules that are in Islam literally are in Christianity too, except we actually practice them in Islam. All the Christians I know, which are like all the people that I know, they are nothing like Muslims. What's something that you know that you wish the whole world knew? I'll go first. I know that God is one, and he has no son. He is not born of anything, nor did he give birth to anything, and there is nothing comparable to him. This is also a verse, or this is a chapter in the Quran, and it goes like this: Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid Walam Yulid, Walam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Yeah, I'm a Muslim, and I believe God is one. Islam is a complete way of life. It is the guidance for all mankind from Allah, the creator of the universe. It covers all the things people do in their lifetime. Islam tells us the purpose of our creation, and our final destiny, and our place among other creatures. It shows us the best way to conduct our private and public affairs. This is true. This is so true. Including social, political, economic, moral, and spiritual activities. Islam is an Arabic word which means submission and obedience. Submission is acceptance of Allah's commands, and obedience means putting Allah's commands into practice. Submission and obedience to Allah brings peace, which is why Islam also means peace. A person who accepts the Islamic way of life and acts upon it is a Muslim, is considered a Muslim. We follow the teachings of the Prophet. As a lot of you know, my mother recently converted to Islam, alhamdulillah, and she was asking me questions about the Dajjal, the Antichrist, and when Prophet Isa returns to defeat him.
God is only one. And if you knew what I knew, then you would believe too. Please, pray for guidance. Assalamu alaikum.
Hey everybody, Sam here. I am currently in the parking lot at Walgreens. I've had kind of a day, so I decided to do something to boost my mood a little bit and share with you guys my revert story. So here it goes. And yes, that is baby Imani sleeping in the background. So I'll start it with, I was brought up Christian. We weren't like super practicing, we celebrated Christmas, but that's more of an American culture thing at this point. Everybody celebrates Christmas. That's not, like Muslim or Jewish, I think. Even like atheists celebrate Christmas. But anyways, so yeah, I was brought up Christian. I've had a lot of different experiences in my life, some really good and some really bad, and that influenced my choices as a teenager. I was pretty wild. I rebelled in a lot of different ways. You know what I'm saying? I was super into self-medicating. I smoked a lot of weed coming up, as a teenager. And I mention that because Islam changed a lot in my life. So I bring up the bad stuff so you can understand why, Islam was so good for me. So I was 16. Me and my mom and family, we moved to another house in Detroit. There was a Muslim family across the street. And before then, keep in mind, I cannot tell you a time where I had personally interacted with a Muslim. And if I did, they were probably non-Arab and men, because I can tell you I'd never knowingly looked at a woman in a scarf even. You know what I'm saying? So my perception of the religion was, they're all Arabs. That's usually what kids think about Muslims, and they hate Americans, and that's pretty much the knowledge that I had. They prayed 5 times a day. I learned that in school, but that was it, as far as world religion studies or whatever. But yeah, so my knowledge in Islam was not little, but completely misinformed. So yeah, meeting them was like an awakening, you know what I'm saying? So seeing these people that are so sweet, and the daughter didn't wear a scarf, but the mom did, and the dad was super religious. He fasted outside of Ramadan. So it was nice to see the difference in what I thought versus the reality. And then going forward, I had met someone who, I remember my first interaction was talking about a Marilyn Monroe tattoo that I wanted to get on my back. And he was like, but why though? That's really dumb. So he just instilled in me to basically think before you act, simple stuff. He also, over the time, okay, so first of all, I'm talking about my husband. Everybody knows that I've been married for basically a decade at this point. And before I go further into details, I want to make something very clear with you all. I am not Muslim because I wanted to marry my husband. I am Muslim because Islam is what's right for me in my heart. And regardless of my relationship with him, I would still be Muslim. So please do not accuse me of faking my religion for a man, because it's very common and I'm aware of that, but I'm surely not the case. Anyways, so we met. And we would argue about a lot of things. Mostly I was wrong, because a lot of things that my side of the argument would just be stupid, immature, kids wanting to get their way type of stuff. So, we would talk about religion, and he taught me a lot. And at first, the idea of hijab was like, why do I have to cover? I didn't understand, why do I have to do something and you don't? And first of all, I was wrong, because men have to cover too. They just have different ways of covering. And I didn't understand at first the value of modesty in general. And then even when you take away all the other things, hijab is for God. You do it to show your dedication and love for God. That's just like the basics of it. So when I understood that, or when he explained that to me, it was such a beautiful thing. And, the more I learned about Islam, the more I kind of decided that I needed it, because Islam is not just a religion. It's a way of life. It's every aspect of your life, eating with your right hand and not your left, saying Bismillah before you take a bite. There are a lot of parts of Islam that is a positive influence in different aspects of your life. And I saw that learning it. I saw how beautiful someone's perception on the world can be when they're looking at it through the eyes of Islam.
There's something about Islam in particular that drew you to it, other than, I don't know, is there something that you really, really found beautiful or just different to the Christian faith?
Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't one thing that I went, oh wow, I'm going to convert to Islam now and change my life. It was a lot of small things that helped me to realize that, wow, like this is actually the truth. And it came from small things. I think starting with Christianity, reading more into Christianity and seeing in the Old Testament, women are actually meant to cover their hair when they pray, and then starting to implement that myself, and then seeing how the other Christians are like, no, people just did that because that was a cultural norm at the time.
What was it that, what was the first thing that introduced you to Islam?
The first thing that introduced me to Islam. So I guess going back even before converting to Islam in 2016, all throughout high school I was involved within the Uniting Church and preaching, and I was actually meant to go into ministry 1 year after, in the year that I converted to Islam. I was meant to go into ministry school with a scholarship and become an ordained minister. But as I started to do my research into Christian theology deeper and deeper, I started finding a lot of holes within it and asking a lot of questions as you may have done yourself, and a lot of contradictions within the theology and things that don't add up. And for a while there, I just didn't know what the world was or why I was here. And then alhamdulillah, I had some friends who were Muslim, and they introduced me to their sisters, and I started learning Islam through their family, alhamdulillah. And started seeing, because Islam is an Abrahamic faith as well, as same as Christianity, and I had never really seen the similarities before. And once those similarities started being opened up to me, and I started seeing the similarities between, Jesus alayhi salam and all of this, it was a shock to me, and that's kind of how it started. That's how that journey began.
Wow. Was there something about Islam in particular that drew you to it, other than, I don't know, is there something that you really, really found beautiful or just different to the Christian faith?
Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't one thing that I went, oh wow, I'm going to convert to Islam now and change my life. It was a lot of small things that helped me to realize that, wow, like this is actually the truth. And it came from small things. I think starting with Christianity, reading more into Christianity and seeing in the Old Testament, women are actually meant to cover their hair when they pray, and then starting to implement that myself, and then seeing how the other Christians are like, no, people just did that because that was a cultural norm at the time. And also looking further into the way that we're supposed to pray as Christians as well, and just being around the Muslim family that I was introduced to, and just seeing their mannerisms and the way that they implemented Islam into their life, it just became more apparent that Islam was the truth.
Mashallah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
So how long of a process do you think it was? Was it a long process learning about Islam, or was it, like you said, you learnt things as you went along, and being exposed to this family? Was it a really long process of a few months, or was it a year?
Yeah, I would say it was over the period of almost a year. But being a teenager as you are, you're quite impulsive with your decisions. You're like, I'm being Muslim, that's it. Tomorrow, khalas, I'm putting hijab on. But
How old were you?
I had just turned 18.
Wow, so quite young.
Quite young.
I think I became Muslim in 2016, but I was about 22, 23.
Yeah, a little bit older.
A little bit older.
Mashallah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, for me, it was a little bit different. I became Muslim. For me, it was more about creation and praying. I actually started praying before I took my Shahada.
Oh, mashallah.
So I really wanted to, be dutiful to Allah for everything that He had given me, you know, all the blessings that I had been given. And I think it was about a 6-month journey before I put a headscarf on.
MashaAllah. Yeah.
But yeah, as a revert, it can be quite difficult, you know, making that transition.
Definitely.
Was it a long journey for you when you decided to wear the headscarf? I know you said that you like wanted to do everything ASAP.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my faults, that I think I rushed into things very, very quickly. I was like, no,
Yeah.
khalas, I've done my shahada.
Yeah.
I'm going to put hijab on. I'm eating halal, and that's
Yeah.
how it is.
I think it can be very exciting as well, though.
It
like,
is. Yeah.
You
It's a whole
learning
new
all these
world.
new things, right? Like, I mean, you'd already learnt things previously through your religion,
Yeah.
but it's, you want to do right and you want to do everything correct. So you just
Exactly,
look at
yeah,
everything and go, I'm going to do this right now. But mashallah, you seem obviously quite strong.
And yourself as well. I know
thank
you've
you.
been through your fair share of hardships as well.
I mean,